Here I am outside Tesco in Bathgate. I'm specking out some potential routes for a family-friendly led ride on behalf of the West Lothian Climate Action Network. They've approached us at West Lothian Bike Library to help them plan some routes for family-friendly rides. I've been out on a ride out to Black Ridge already. I may or may not post a video about that. I may or may not post this video. But this time I'm going on a almost totally traffic-free route, going in towards Livingston, maybe in round by the Almond Valley Heritage Centre. So join me for the ride. Hello, this is Donald in the future. A little note about the editing of this video. As you've seen in the introduction, I'm scoping a ride for a possible route on behalf of an organisation that's approached the West Lothian Bike Library to lead a group, a family-friendly group ride. Now, I've really recorded this whole video as a kind of aid memoir to myself for potentially future adjustments to the route or for risk assessment or whatever should the route actually come to fruition. But it's a nice route, so I've decided to put up the video about it anyway for general interest. The way I've edited this, I use the camera, as you've seen, it's just a little GoPro on a neck mount, and I use the microphone, and that really is just a means of recording kind of voice notes as I go along. So there's a lot of chat into the camera, just my own thoughts as we go around the ride. When I've edited the video, I've sped up the bits of video where I'm not talking. So there's a lot of kind of start-stop-ish movement in the video. I think it works okay. There's also an incident, purely chance that I was in the right place at the right time, as it were. An incident which I actually think is relevant to the cause of the organisation that's approached the bike library. However, it's an incident which is reckless, dangerous and ultimately criminal. I've had quite a lot of thinking about how much of my video of my footage I would include in this video, and what I have included has been very heavily edited. The original unedited files have been passed to the authorities whose job it is to identify and apprehend those responsible. However, I did include it, as I say. It's towards the end of the video. If you choose to watch the video, it's not really intended as clickbait. Hope it doesn't come across as clickbait. If you do choose to watch the video, hope you enjoy it, and thanks as always for riding along with me. Back to the video. So I'm heading off eastwards on the National Cycle Network, Route 75, as it passes the Tesco Bathgate store. I've got a route in my mind which I may or may not keep to, but we'll see how it goes. I have been asked on behalf of, well, I've been asked by West Lothian Bike Library to plan a family-friendly ride route on behalf of the West Lothian Climate Action Network. I don't yet have a date for the ride that they're planning. But one suggestion which came from the project leader at Climate Action Network was to start from Bathgate Tesco and head west out the National Cycle Network Route 75 to Black Ridge,
and then a short ride off the path uphill to what's it called? Beach. I've forgotten the name of it already. Beach Craig Woodland, which is about a kilometre, maybe not quite a kilometre, outside Blackridge. It's up quite a steep road, Heights Road, and I'm not 100% comfortable leading a ride which may have children in it on that very short stretch of road. So I've had a wee look at the map and a wee bit of local knowledge, my own local knowledge from the Livingston Path network. Oops. That side will they go to? So I thought I'd check out the possibilities of our kind of a circular route rather than an out and back route. There isn't really much option going west from Bathgate, but this would be a circular route going around Easter Breich Moss, down through Seafield, down to the River Almond, and from there into the Almond Valley Heritage Centre, or that area, Livingston Village, and then more or less following, that would be rejoining the National Cycle Network 75 route, following that back up by Lochshot Burn, Barracks farm field, tail-end moss, before it reconnects with this path that I'm on just now, just this side of Seafield, and returning that way to Tesco. So we'll see how it goes. Right, crossing the M8. We've had unusually dry weather for, it seems like forever. It's only been a few weeks. It's quite warm just now, probably about 18 degrees Celsius. Very little wind at the moment, and we're following the bed of an old mineral railway which would have served the, I think, the shale mining industry. And we'll cut off at Seafield, head down to the River Almond. This route should be fine after all the dry weather we've had. I think if I've got any reservations about the ride is there are stretches alongside the River Almond where it can become extremely muddy after rain. But that's just in a couple of places. At this time of year, even if we get some wet weather, the ground is completely dried out. As long as the rain can get through the surface, it will soak in very quickly. So this is the junction. We'll be coming back. We'll rejoin this route on the way back, off from the left there. And I'm going this way on to Seafield. And the reason I'm doing the route in this direction is that there's quite a steep drop down to the River Almond from Seafield. And then obviously following the river downhill slightly into Livingston Village. This A-frame gate, I didn't think there was such a thing in Scotland. I can just make it through there myself, because that could be quite tricky if somebody's got wider handlebars than say about 758mm, 800mm wide. Certainly awkward if you're riding some sort of mobility scooter or adapted tricycle perhaps. However, we just come through this little industrial yard and then we go left on the footpath to the crossing. Activate the crossing. Let's see how quickly this one responds to being activated. I think this is one of the older ones. All clear. Even though the lights changed to red, I have caught out countless drivers over the past 6 months or so, and I've been kind of watching this consciously, who just ignore the red light, or who you hear them coming along behind you and they're actually accelerating to beat the light, or simply accelerating to go through. So we're going down here. This is a residential street. And I just need to be sure of the... Do I go along here? Maybe along... Yeah, I go along to the right here. And there is a little cut through onto the path down to the river. Well, I need to be confident that your brakes work coming down here. It's straight down the hill, and if they don't work, there's a river down here coming down to cross the River Almond. There we have it. And all of a sudden it's all very quiet and free of traffic. Very pleasant. So now we're crossing here into Easter Breich Woodland. And it's a gravel track along here. I don't think I would bring a road bike along here, a bike on narrow road tyres, slick type of road tyres. I'm riding a bike with 32mm wide urban tyres, so they're sort of semi-slick with a bit of a slight groove in them. This is probably the most difficult bit. There is not a lot of water in the River Almond just now. There's not a lot of water anywhere just now. This path does get used by equestrians, so you do need to be aware of horse riders and be ready to stop, let the horses pass. And here's the bridge over Breachwater, and down there is where it has its confluence with the River Almond. There's not a lot of water in that river either. It's almost completely dry. That little track to the left takes you down to a ford across the river. It's probably perfectly okay to cross it today. And we go left, the right takes you across the fields to Gavyside Farm. It's along this stretch in the shelter of the trees that in very wet weather, usually in the winter, this path just turns to a quagmire. And I certainly wouldn't be riding along it on this bike in those conditions, but it's unlikely to meet those sort of ground conditions just now. And as we come along here, we're actually passing on the River Almond, the Almond pools, which were artificially created during the shale oil industry. During the shale oil industry, the river was diverted to allow quarrying to take place. And when the shale industry wound down, the quarries were flooded to form what is now the Almond pools. Going just to the left here, there's a little information point. Oh, there still is an information point. Not an awful lot to see through the foliage. The information board telling you about the bird life that can be seen around here, and something of its heritage in the quarry. And then over there we've got, I think that's the largest of the pools. Gosh, it's low as well, the water. Right, let's get on. Back onto the path. And we're going to follow the path under the bridge, which carries Simpson Parkway, is it? Now, at this point, got some choices. Follow the path alongside the road. At this point we've got a couple of choices. We could continue up the side of the main road and make use of light controlled crossings to get across and through, I forget the name of the housing development. We'll find out in a wee minute. Or we can go on through the housing development kind of straight ahead of us down to the Almond Valley Heritage Centre, or we can turn right and continue down alongside the River Almond, passing the Almond Valley Heritage Centre down to Livingston Village. I think I will do that. I'm going to do that. That's the sort of longer option, and then because either of these two options, I would then be working my way back up to the housing development, the name of the streets I forget at the moment, to reconvene the ride. So we'll do it alongside the river because it's a lovely day for it. Coming this way we pass one of several fish passes on the River Almond. This is a Laviniere. There's a sign board here tells me what kind of pass it is. Lariniere Pass, which is constructed to allow salmonid fish like salmon, trout and eels to make their way upstream, where previously the weir made it difficult, if not impossible. And as the Almond is cleaned up, it doesn't look it much today, but I think that's because of the low water levels. It is becoming more attractive to encouraging those fish species back up the river. And at this point, under the foliage to the left is the mill laid, the mill being for Livingston Mill Farm, around which the Almond Valley Heritage Centre is developed. This is quite a nice, if it's a family friendly trip, this is a really nice place to come. Heritage animals being nurtured here. But the Mill Farm and Heritage Centre, it's a pay on entry place. There is a cafe and toilets obviously inside, but you have to pay for entry to the centre in order to gain access to those facilities. So we have to go around the centre this way. It's very popular with young families. It's a huge play area, kind of petting farm. And I think a lot of families purchase annual passes. I know that's been the case with my own family and with their families in due course. Just turn the camera around because it doesn't always show it off to the side. There is the mill farm. Got a feeling that the mill wheel must have been dismantled. Can't remember. Where is the mill? The mill wheel. I'm sure you used to see the mill wheel on the side there. It may well have been dismantled. Mill farm facilities continue over that bridge, over picnic areas and play barns and what have you, over on the other side of the river. This is a great wee spot for... I've sat here and watched dippers flying up and down this stretch of the river before. A couple of little steep bits. We'll carry on over the bridge. This is the bridge over the Lochshot Burn. And that's what I'm going to do rather than go up there, trying not to fall in the nettles. We'll carry on this way. Make it a full circle, taking in Livingston Village. A little bit bouncy coming along here, but the path is tarmac and asphalt. This brings us up by Livingston Bridge, and go and look at the river from here. And just a few metres further up we've got Cousland Bridge crossing the Cousland Burn, which meets up with the Almond just a little bit downstream from here. But this isn't really where we're going, but it's a stopping point. At the moment we're about 9 kilometres, just over 5 miles, 5.5 miles from our start. So there are spots near here that we could have picnics, or up in Livingston Village there's the Livingston Inn where you can get refreshment sitting outside. And there's Castaway Coffee. Is it Castaway? Is that what they call it? Just along here. Yeah. So it's all sitting out. So you'd want a good day. But Livingston Village has its own history. If we head back from here, it's got Livingston Kirk that we've just passed. Very long history. We've got a choice of routes here. To the right is, we're actually on the National Cycle Network 75 again. Down to the right we follow the Lochshot Burn path, which is the NCN 75, pretty much all the way back to Bathgate. Or we could go this way to reconnect with the Heritage Centre, or maybe go around that way. Do I want to go this way because there's a nasty road crossing? No, I'm not going to go this way, but I will go this way just to show where we would access the Heritage Centre. Then we would return along this same route to reconnect with the NCN 75. So as I said, at the Almond Pools there are a variety of route options for coming through this part of Livingston, which I think will be about the halfway point of any ride if we did this route. And what we have here, there's the other side of Livingston Mill Farm, Almond Valley Heritage Centre as it's now called. We have a new car park entrance up the top there. It's a map of what you can do around here. Admission charges, open 10 AM to 5 PM, adults £13, seniors 65 plus £12, children 2 to 15 years £11. Additional charges apply for soft play and rides. And I know that they do have a cafe inside and other facilities, but the only way to access them is to pay the charges, which, to be honest, is why I've never been here for years. Otherwise I would come in and use the cafe. So I'm not going to go back the route. If you remember when we came off Simpson Parkway, we had a choice of going left straight ahead or right, and I went right down to the river. And if we'd gone left, we would have come through the housing estate that's up there and down this path to get to here. This is on the Shale Trail, for which there's a, is the camera going to pick that up? There is a board here with some information. That's a really interesting trail to follow. So I'm going to go back to the turning down onto the NCN 75 Lochshot Burn. There are some artworks installed along this path. We've already passed one of them, installed I think for the millennium. It's a stone circle. Well, we've passed the second, now we're past the third, which is just a wee standing stone and a flab. The one we missed, which is easily missed now because it's a little bit overgrown, was what I think is meant to represent a broch, circular stone structure, or the remains of it. That was the Nell Burn, which is crossing the bridge. And a little further up the path We're going through Livingston Old Wood here. Little larch trees, get little larch needles falling in the path. Yeah, a little bit further up the path we'll come to the concrete pyramid, which is one of the early art installations installed by Livingston Development Corporation. These were erected to create a sense of place. Places, things, objects that could be recognised. You need to imagine life 50, 60 years ago, before all the houses that are now being built have been built. And the artists of the day had to work with materials they could find. So there it is, big red structure. Now at this point we can go up. To our left is Barracks Farm Field. We can actually cut across Barracks Farm Field. This is an area of ground which, as I understand it, is owned by Shin-Etsu, whose factory lies just to the south of the Lochshot Burn. And they have indicated to a local lady who's concerned for wildlife and its preservation. There's Shin-Etsu, probably won't pick it up on this camera, across through the trees there. This whole field was part of Barracks Farm, which is a very long history, I think going back to at least the Jacobite risings of the, well, bygone days. But the local lady approached the management at Shin-Etsu, concerned that this land might be developed. And I have an old map that suggests it was scheduled as potential commercial land. And she got their agreement, or their assurance, that they're not planning to develop this land. And she has since, over the years, planted many hundreds, if not thousands, of trees, saplings, bird boxes, and generally encourage wildlife in the area. It'd be quite interesting to get a wee tour of the area from her. And this path that we're on just now, it's still the National Cycle Network. This is the Easterburn Campus Path. Hiya. Whereas the Lochshot Burn path proper goes through the hedge and carries straight across. And if we were to go that way, which is what I'm planning to do, there's where we came up, we can go through here, a bit narrow. We'll get back onto the tarmac path and we'll go along the bottom of Barracks Farm Field. We'll get Lochshot Burn off to the left. Wildlife around this part is great, and this is the last remaining green corridor to the west from Livingston, so it's worth preserving at all costs. I've lived here in Livingston long enough to have seen land like this being encroached with concrete boxes, houses, and it's really great to see this So the Easter Burn campus path that we've turned off loops all the way around the top of this field, back down to where we emerge. There we are. This is back out under Deans Road, back in the NCN 75. And we've got tail-end moss over to our right, raised bog, precious landscape for carbon capture. And we turn off. Strong smell, strong aroma in the air from the Glen Turner distillery. The Angels are doing pretty well out of that. Their share is pretty good today, I think. Easter Breich Seafield Law Nature Reserve. So we've got just one steepish hill left before we rejoin our outward path. 27th to 29th, well that's not today.
It's not right.
No, it shouldn't be. I think that there's a lot of construction work going on from the distillery. I think that they're probably digging a tunnel, if I'm right, or a bridge. Constructing a bridge over a new bit of road that they need for access. Or is it at this stage that they're closing it? Please use diversion route, it says. It doesn't say what the diversion route actually is. Some construction going on to connect that side of the path with that side. Although they've already installed gates left and right, and it's a bit of a dunk and a junk where they've tried to make ramps. Right. Looks like they're closing off this entire section. And this is Seafield Tip on our right, which is constructed around Seafield Law, at the top of which a little path goes up to the right there. If you follow that right up to the top, there is a sort of electronic talking viewpoint. The views from up there are brilliant. And those metal poles that we've passed, I understand they're to allow the escape of methane building up below ground where the tip was, or is still. And we come down this hill here to the junction that we passed about 11 or 12 kilometres ago. So we haven't got too far to go. That's pretty much 16 kilometres that I've been riding from the start up to this point, 10 miles. It's maybe another 3 or 4 kilometres to go. So we should finish up with a ride of maximum of about 18 kilometres, I would think, 18, 19 kilometres, 12 miles. Which would be pretty decent for youngsters, maybe 8-9-year-old youngsters who are accustomed to cycling regularly. They're confident on their bikes and they've got decent bikes, reasonably lightweight with a good range of gears, and anyone older than that with a reasonable level of fitness. It's been just about an hour now since I set off. It takes a lot to get someone up off a mobile phone. I've not been going all that fast, but I wouldn't anticipate going at that sort of speed if I'm leading a ride. Certainly not for a family friendly ride if children are part of it. But as you've seen, if you've stuck with me all this time, for the past hour or so, we've had no traffic interaction. We haven't been riding any main roads. There's really a lot of interest to see as we cross back over Easter Breich Moss towards Bathgate. I have vague memories of my school days when I was in the school cross-country running team. I was one of the team entered for Scottish Schools Cross-Country Championships, which in that particular year were based from Bathgate, and I seem to remember the cross-country route took us through Easter Breich. That was before it was developed as a nature reserve. But that was a wee while ago. Need to go back to the 1960s for that. Back to the noises of the motorway. So I'm just going to keep the camera running until I get back to Tesco, or until the battery dies, which might be before we get back to Tesco. Well, I'm going to have a giggle at that. Just as I said that, we'll keep it running until the battery dies. it died. So I've stopped at side. I'm just going to change the battery. There we are, the pyramids, an art installation, part of the M8 artwork installations. It was originally named Sawtooth. These installations are intended to reflect the industrial heritage to be found across central Scotland. So Sawtooth is probably more appropriate than the pyramids, but it's become known as the pyramids. And the business park across here is known as the Pyramids Business Park. Right. Oh well, we've missed out about 100 metres of path, but not to worry. Might as well finish the recording of the ride now. What's the guy down there doing? It's obviously burnt. I think he's just been setting fire at something, and now he's running. Fire, please.
Fire, thank you. Fire and rescue.
Hello there. I'm just on the. I'm in West Lothian on the Starlaw path, the cycle path round Starlaw. I've just seen a guy lighting a fire, and it's blazing up here, just off the path, just north of the A89. Sorry, just south. Just south of the A89 path, Bathgate.
So you're at Bathgate?
Yeah.
Do you know any streets in Bathgate that it's close to?
It's on the National Cycle, or just off the National Cycle Network, Route 75.
Right, I don't know that at all, sir.
Oh gosh.
Do you have all 3 words on your phone?
I do, yeah. Just hang on a second. I'll try and do it without getting cut off. This fire's really taking off. Where 3 words? What 3 words? What 3 words? Come on. Okay, where are we? Lure almost scrolled. Hello? Oh gosh, phone. Where's the phone? Hello? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Lure almost scrolled. I was asked to give scrolled. Lure, yes, lure, L-U-R-E dot almost, A-L-M-O-S-T dot scrolled, S-C-R-O-L-E-D. I was cycling down here, and if you want to get the police, I was cycling down here coming from the Blackburn direction on the path, and I saw a young lad wearing an orange t-shirt. He'd obviously only just set it. When he saw me stopping my bike, he ran, and he's heading towards the Blackburn direction.
Right, okay, so where this is pit you is by, so are you near like Inchwood?
I think that's what it's called, yes. Pyramids Business Park is just next to it.
Right, so next to Pyramids Business Park. And is there anything specific you're saying is by the cycle path?
It's by the cycle path, yes. There's a reed bed just off to the west of to the east of the cycle path, which looks like it's been burnt before. And I saw this lad.
How far away is that from where the fire is?
It's probably about 20 metres off the path.
Right, so it's nearby the reed bed as well?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Fire and rescue will attend. If you stay away from it, okay? And if
Will
there's
do.
any further information, I'll give you a phone back, okay?
Okay then, thanks. What do I do here? Hmm? Oh, I must have been on the... Oh, right, that's that phone. End call. Whew. Well, that's a bit of excitement. I wonder if I've managed to get the guy on my camera. Did you see a young lad with I think it was an orange t-shirt passing you just after I passed you?
Yeah, well, it was a two. It was a
Are we?
I can't remember what he was wearing right now.
Aye.
It was a woman.
I saw him actually light that fire.
Oh,
Aye. When he saw me, he ran. And I've just phoned the fire brigade.
deliberately lit.
It was deliberately lit. I'm hoping that I've got it on my camera.
Oh, right.
I think there'd be better things to do than stand in a bit of field setting at light.
I would think so, aye. I was, as I was saying, I was coming down the path there on my bike.
Yeah.
I may have the guy in the GoPro. I think he was with a lassie who was running on the path. I just saw him bending down by the reeds and I thought, that's strange, and I stopped, and as he stopped, he saw me, ran off that way, and then the flames started. So I was asking the guys there, is there an incident number that I would, because if I've got footage, I'm going to send it to the police.
Aye. We will have an incident number. Yep. I'll probably check for that.
Thanks. Right, with that wee bit of excitement over, let's finish the ride. Get a wee blow off the smell of the smoke. So that's us almost back at Tesco. Back to our start. I'll get a distance travelled and amount of time I've actually been riding on the ride when we stop. Well, there we are. If you made it to the very end, you'll have got all the excitement that I got. So I'm away to check my footage and see if I've got a shot of the guy who set the fire to that. So thanks for riding with me. Ride with me again. Lost in Livy.